Hello everybody, this is Travis. You're at Tpull's Corner, and we've got a new series going on called Travis Plays the Premades. So this is one of the pre-made decks that they made for Strixhaven, and it doesn't have only Strixhaven, right? There's a Kaldheim card, there's Adventures of the Fallen Realms, so they put a mix of the different expansions, and there's Zendikar. So I'm probably incorrect to call it Strixhaven, but some of the best feature players, so to speak, are Strixhaven cards. You got 3 copies of Premades, which is a defender unless you cast a spell or instant, in which case he can't attack in that after that happens. We've got Expressive Iteration, which is a very nice search card. You can get the 3 cards looking at the top of your library. One of them you put in your hand, one you put in your library, and you exile one of them, and you get to play the exiled one. So a lot of times it's really situational on when you draw it. Sometimes you need land, so you do this and pick 3 and you exile the land to play the land. If you're doing it later and you have plenty of land, the land's what you put back in the library a lot of times and look for a good spell to cast. You have multiple choice, only 1 copy, but if you want to save up if you can to cost, make the X a 4, so you're spending 5 total. So you can do everything. You can scry 1, draw a card, make the player, usually them, return a creature they control to the owner's hand, and also create a 4/4 blue and red elemental creature token that you see to your right there. Going down the rest of the 2-drops, we've got Arcane Investigator. If you get enough mana, you can roll a d20 and draw cards. Into the Royal to return target permanents and save things. Either save your own creatures or maybe get rid of a token that's attacking. 3 Thundering Rebukes for removal, 4 damage, I like that. We've got Kaza the Royal Chaser, who's flying in haste. He's got a special power to tap if you don't want to attack with him. The next instant or sorcery spell you costs X less to cast, where X is the number of wizards you control as this ability resolves. And as it turns out, you notice we've got Elf Wizard, Orc Wizard, Human Wizard. You know, it's a wizard tribal deck here. And so it maximizes the possibility of benefit from Kaza's abilities there. More removal, 3 copies of Demon Bolt from Kaldheim, which you can foretell first, so they only cost 1 when you're ready to use them as an instant, whereas Thundering Rebuke is a sorcery. Agar the Freezing Flame, legendary creature. You have 3 copies of him, also a wizard. Whenever a creature or planeswalker an opponent controls is dealt excess damage, if a giant wizard or a spell you controlled dealt damage to it this turn, draw a card. So, that's a little bit to unpack. This is probably one of the more complicated cards to read just at first glance, but it's not too difficult. If I hit a 3/3 creature with a Demon Bolt, that's 4 damage, so it's 1 point in excess. So that 1 point of excess damage, if Agar is on the battlefield, that means I get to draw a card. If Agar hits a 2/2 creature and he's got 3/3, that's 1 point of extra damage to the Agar, which as a giant and or a wizard, he's legitimate, so you get to draw a card. As long as you got that 1 extra point of damage, whether it's a giant doing the damage, a wizard doing the damage, or a spell doing the damage, you got Agar there, you get to draw a card. This can really help be a game winner. 1 copy of Prismari Command, it gives you 4 choices. I'm usually trying to deal 2 damage to any target and create a token. You can draw 2 cards and discard 2 cards or destroy a target artifact. 3 copies of Umara Mystic, another wizard, another one with flying. Whenever you cast an instant, sorcery, or wizard spell, Umara Mystic gets +2 until end of turn. I almost want to say this card is underpriced just because they added that or wizard spell. So since you got a wizard tribal deck, every time you put down another creature, he automatically gets the +2, not just the instant or sorcery cards. So you can really pump him up a couple times in a turn. 1 copy of Meteor Swarm. You have to have 3 red mana, so there's a bit of a climb before you get to use it, but then the X is variable. You can deal 8 damage, never more than 8, but it's divided among the creatures you choose. So if X is 3, you get 3 creatures. If X is 4, you get 4 creatures. You could do 2 damage to everybody. I mean, technically, if you've got 11 mana and 3 of them are red, you could take out 8, little Scoot Swarm tokens or whatever. Archmage Emeritus. Magecraft, whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, you get to draw a card. This is nice if you get him down and he survives and you're sort of far enough into the game that you've got some Foretold Demon Bolts. You could cast a couple of those on a single turn and replenish them and maybe draw some actually more removal if you're going to need it, just by his draw power. Daimalik has been changed, so I'm always confused because they gave you this card, right? And then they changed him for Alchemy. and I'd have to bring up the different versions for you to see, and I might do that with a little pop-up just to compare what he used to be able to do here and what the new card can do. But I always get confused. If he's grayed out here, does that mean that when I go into a battle I'm being thrust into the historic realm, or am I still playing a standard battle? I don't remember. It gets kind of confusing since they introduced the alchemy and the changed digital cards. And you know, this is a printed card, right? They made Adventures of the Forgotten Realms. You can buy Dymalic. He's going to look like this. This is going to be his text. But if you go play alchemy, you're going to get the other version. So that's why he's great out there. Basalt Ravager for 4. Whenever he enters, it deals X damage to any target, where X is the greatest number of creatures you control that have a creature type in common. So of course that creature type is Wizard. And if you get him out, you know, especially if you're facing like white, for example, and they've pacified 3 of your creatures, Basalt Ravager can come out and still do 4 damage to somebody. So it's kind of nice. Okay, the other flyer, Jin Wizard. Maelstrom Muse. Whenever she attacks, the next instant or sorcery spell you cast costs X less cost, where X is Maelstrom Muse's power as this ability resolves. So the idea is, if her power is going to stay at 2, you attack for 2, and then, you know, something's going to cost 2 less. So maybe your multiple choice that you normally spend 5 for, you can cast it for 3. Faraday's Fireball. This is from Forgotten Realms, so we're rolling the die. 1 through 9 does 2 damage to each player. 10 through 20, you do 2 damage to each opponent only, and not you. So it's you make sure that you're not down to 2 life when you're rolling this one, just because you might kill yourself accidentally. You got 2 copies of that. And finally, Creative Outburst for 7 mana. You can deal 5 damage to any target, plus look at the top 5 cards of your library, put one of them onto your hand, and the rest go on the bottom. Usually, you know, half the time you're just discarding it and creating a treasure token at the bottom there. All right, that's the deck. What I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this introduction here. I'll make it a card on all of the other battles, and we will just sort of probably post like a battle a day or something like that, and just show you my wins and losses and how it works and how it doesn't. Sometimes you can see it's got 25 lands, only 1 pathway, and only 4 other duplicate lands for call times, or sorry, double lands, double mana. So it's easy in this to get like all mountains and a bunch of blue spells, or all islands and a bunch of red spells, or, you know, the combination multicolor spells, and you just don't have enough. So I would probably, first thing I'd do is probably fix the mana a little bit and not go with 10 islands and 10 mountains. But we're going to stick with what they started us with, at least at the outset, and then maybe as we get towards the end we talk about how to change this up a little bit just to make it a little bit more efficient. All right, here we go.